For years, we were taught that a good routine had to be long, exhausting, full of sets, exercises, sweat, pain, and endless days in the gym. They repeated to us over and over, if you don't train every day, you won't achieve anything. And so we grew up feeling guilty if we didn't go 5 or 6 times a week, afraid to rest, with the false idea that more is always better. But then a man came along who questioned everything, and he taught us that the key isn't in quantity, but in the absolute quality of the stimulus you give your body. That the muscle doesn't need to be destroyed. It needs to be activated with precision, and then respected in its growth process. And that truth, bro, changes everything. Because here, you won't find a generic routine to copy. This isn't about blindly following what someone else does. It's about understanding the principles, applying logic, and creating your own heavy-duty routine tailored to your body, your level, your recovery, and your life. And that's what we're going to do today. Today, you'll learn to build your training the way Mentzer did, like an iron surgeon, like a growth architect, like someone who trains not to stay busy, but to evolve. So get ready, because what's coming next will shake your beliefs about how a true muscle warrior should train. Let's start with the first cornerstone, the fundamental principle that will define your routine. The first thing you must understand, before choosing any exercise, any frequency, any scheme, is this: every heavy-duty routine is built around one thing: the ability to take the muscle to real, absolute, and controlled failure. That's the core, not the number of sets, not the number of days, not even the exercises themselves. What matters is, can you stimulate the muscle to its maximum in one well-executed set? If the answer is no, your routine is flawed. If the answer is yes, then we can start building on solid ground. Mike used to say, one properly performed set to failure produces more growth than 10 poorly done ones. But if you can't reach that real failure, then you're doing volume disguised as intensity. So, bro, your first step isn't choosing exercises. It's understanding your capacity for intensity. Are you willing to give it your all in one set? To reach the point where you literally can't do half a rep more without breaking technique? To do forced reps, negatives, statics if necessary? Because if you're going to train like a real heavy-duty practitioner, one set means everything, and you can't waste it. This changes the mindset completely. You no longer do 4 sets of bench press as progressive warm-up. No, you do one set with everything, with perfect technique, with total concentration, with execution so intense that the muscle has no choice but to grow or die. And that, bro, is what turns a normal routine into a heavy-duty routine. It's not the quantity, it's the brutal effectiveness of every stimulus. So before writing your routine, before thinking about whether you'll do chest on Monday or legs on Friday, you have to ask yourself this question in the mirror: am I ready to give the muscle a real reason to grow in just one set? If the answer is yes, then welcome, you're ready to build your heavy-duty system. How many days should I train per week? And how do I organize them? And this is where Mike Mentzer shattered the paradigms again. Because while the rest of the world talked about training 5, 6, or even 7 days a week, he said the opposite: less frequency, more recovery, better growth. But he didn't say it on a whim. He said it because he had lived it, tested it, and proven it both in himself and his students. Mike proposed a base schedule of 2 to 3 workouts per week, with at least one full rest day between sessions, and not for convenience, but because the stimulus the body received from one real set of failure was so profound that it needed real time to regenerate and surpass itself. So the basic schedule would look something like this: Monday workout A, Wednesday workout B, Friday workout C, and on the other days, rest, nutrition, deep sleep, nervous system repair, and silent growth. But listen, I'm not giving you a magic routine with fixed days. I'm giving you a principle. Every heavy-duty workout requires complete recovery before the next one, and that might mean that if you don't feel recovered by Friday, you train on Saturday or even the following Monday. Because here, bro, the schedule doesn't dictate your body. Your body dictates the schedule. Mentzer used to say, most fail because they train based on a fixed calendar, not their actual recovery capacity. And he was absolutely right. That's why, when creating your routine, you must ask yourself, how many times per week can I train with real maximum intensity without feeling drained, losing strength, or, for most natural people, no steroids, with real-life responsibilities? The answer is clear: 2 or 3 times a week, max. And what do I train on those days? Mentzer had several splits, but the most practical and effective for naturals was this: Day 1, chest, shoulders, triceps. Day 2, back, biceps, forearms. Day 3, full legs. This split is logical and brutally effective. It groups muscles that work together, avoids overlap, and allows each group to receive a strong stimulus, but with enough time to fully recover. And here's a hidden gem: you don't have to train on the same days every week. You can do Monday, Thursday, Sunday if that's what your body demands. What matters isn't a fixed routine. What matters is the principle. Maximum stimulus gives complete recovery, gives real progress. And if you respect that, you're on the path of true heavy duty. Because remember, brah, you're not training to get tired, you're training to grow. And that growth only comes if you respect the full cycle. Stimulus gives rest, gives adaptation. So, now that you know how many days to train and how to split muscle groups, in the next part we'll define how many exercises per muscle group, how a real heavy-duty session is structured, and what mistakes can ruin all your progress without you even noticing. You already have the weekly structure clear, 2 or 3 workouts, each with a logical muscle group split. But now comes the part that confuses most people. How many exercises should I do per muscle group? And this is where Mike Mentzer once again shatters everything the industry taught us. While traditional routines tell you to do 4, 5, or even 6 exercises per muscle with multiple sets, drop sets, supersets, and even cardio between sets, Mentzer makes it clear 1 or 2 well-chosen exercises, performed with maximum intensity, are more than enough to stimulate growth. And that, bro, changes everything. Because now you're not training to feel tired, you're training to create a real response in the muscle. And if you choose the right exercise, execute it with perfect technique, and take it to true failure, you don't need anything else. So, on average, the ideal is this: large muscles, 1 to 2 exercises, small muscles, 1 direct exercise, max 2, if necessary sets, only 1 effective set per exercise, taken to absolute failure. But this isn't random, it's pure logic. The first exercise should be the most effective, compound, basic, and safe to take to failure with real strength. The second should be complementary, different from the first, or used as pre-exhaustion or a finisher. Here's a real, complete session example. Bro, for day 1, chest incline dumbbell press, 1 set to total failure shoulders, military press minus 1 set to failure triceps, dips between benches or extensions minus 1 set to failure total session time, 25 to 35 minutes max result, brutal stimulus, guaranteed recovery, real progress. And now comes the critical point, bro. Most people think they're training to failure, but in reality, they stop 3 or 4 reps short of their true limit. And that makes the entire routine fall apart. Because if you don't reach failure, if you don't hit that zone where the muscle is forced to adapt, then there's not enough stimulus to grow. So it doesn't matter how many exercises you do. It doesn't matter if you do 1 or 2. If you don't reach the point where the muscle can't move anymore and you push it a little further with controlled form, forced reps, or slow negatives, you are not applying heavy duty. And that's the most common mistake. Doing fewer exercises, thinking that's heavy duty, but also putting in less effort. And that's just light training, not intensity. The method demands little in quantity, but everything in quality. So before you write your routine on paper, you must burn this into your mind. Every exercise counts as if it were the only one. And every set, as if it were the last of your life. That's the commitment. And that's the price of true growth. Now that you know how many exercises to do, how to structure a session, and what mistake kills progress without you noticing. In the next part, we'll talk about the hidden heart of progression. How to know if your routine is working. How to progress week after week without needing volume. And what indicators should you use to adjust your routine with pure logic. That, bro, is the key that turns a good routine into an unbeatable one. One of the most common mistakes in traditional training is believing that if you always do the same thing, you'll keep growing forever. And that, bro, is a lie that can keep you trapped for years. Mike Mentzer said it without fear. If you're not progressing in strength, you're not progressing in muscle mass. It's that simple. Because the body doesn't grow from repeating movements. The body grows when it's forced to adapt to a stimulus stronger than the last one. And that's the key to progression in heavy duty. You don't do more reps, you don't do more exercises, you don't do more sets, you do the same thing. But each time with more intensity and more controlled load. That's why, every week you must have a clear goal. Increase the weight, increase the reps, improve execution, or take less time to reach the same failure point. That's real progression. That's how you know if your routine is working. And that's what separates those who train from those who evolve. Picture this. Bro, you're doing inclined dumbbell press for 1 set to failure. Week 1, you hit failure with 25 kilograms by 8 reps. Week 2, same 25 kilograms but you push to 9 reps. Week 3, you hit 10. Week 4, you jump to 27.5 kilograms and do 7. That's pure progress. You didn't do more sets, you didn't do more exercises, you just pushed the real limit. And your body responds with growth. But if 2 or 3 weeks pass and you don't add a single kilo, not even 1 rep, it's time to check: are you sleeping enough? Are you eating enough to grow? Are you truly reaching failure or just quitting when it burns? This is where the most powerful part of the system comes in, the log. Yes, bro. Mike insisted on keeping a training notebook. Why? Because the mind forgets, but numbers don't lie. Write down the weight you used, the real reps to failure, how you felt. If you slept well when you're training that group again this way, you can see if you're moving forward, or if you're stuck. And if you are, you adjust. Not with more volume, not with madness, You adjust with strategy. Sometimes that means adding an extra rest day. Sometimes it means changing an exercise that's no longer giving you results. And other times it just means reclaiming the intensity you let slip away without realizing it. Because remember this, a good routine without effort is a dead routine. A simple routine, executed with fire, is an immortal routine. So, bro, if you want to know if your routine is working, don't just look in the mirror, look at your notebook. Look at your real progression. And listen to your body, it doesn't lie to you. In the final part of this breakdown, we'll bring it all together. How to build your complete routine, how to adapt it to you, and how to make it evolve over time without losing the heavy-duty essence. This isn't just training anymore. This is pure creation. In for it is a dead growth moment has arrived. You've grasped the principles. How many days to train, how to split muscle groups, how many exercises to use, how to progress week after week. Now we're doing what most fail at, building a real heavy-duty routine tailored to you and the real world. But here's the most important thing to understand before writing any routine. A heavy-duty routine isn't just a sheet of exercises. It's a direct attack system for growth, designed for you. So before copying any template, ask yourself, what equipment do you have? How much time can you dedicate without stress? What's your real intensity level? Which exercises actually fire up your muscles best? Once you answer those, build a base routine like this. Day 1, chest, shoulders, triceps, incline dumbbell press. 1 set to failure military press. 1 set to failure bench dips or extensions. 1 set to failure. Day 2, back biceps. Forearms, lat pull down. -1 set to failure barbell curl. 1 set to failure wrist curl or isometric grip. -1 set to failure. Day 3, squat or leg press. 1 set to failure leg extensions. 1 set to failure Romanian deadlift or leg curl. 1 set to failure calf raise. 1 set to failure. Remember 1 to 2 warm-up sets before each work set. The failure set is the only one that counts, and it must be total. Now the crucial part, don't marry this structure. Adapt it to your body, energy, recovery, and schedule. Didn't recover from back day? Gives don't train legs yet. Wait another day, barbell curl not hitting anymore. Give switch to preacher, dumbbells, or concentration curls. Only have dumbbells at home. Gives do presses, lunges, rows, extensions, curls, but always with brutal technique and real failure. What you can't compromise. The philosophy. Few exercises, 1 set to failure train. Only when recovered progress. Weekly log, everything adjusts based on response. Never train with ego, always with intelligence. And if you do this right, bro, you don't need more. You don't need influencer routines. You don't need 2-hour sessions or 40-set workouts. All you need is true intensity, complete recovery, constant progression. That's your new religion. That's heavy duty. Now, you're ready to write your routine, sign it in sweat, and execute it like a strategist. No more noise. No more mindless volume. From today, every workout is a message to your body. Grow, or you won't know peace again. Conclusion. Chapter 3. How to build your own heavy-duty routine. If you've made it this far, you're not the same person anymore. You no longer swallow cookie-cutter magazine routines. You no longer blindly trust volume or the idea that more is better. Now you know the key lies in quality, not quantity. In intensity, not duration. And in respecting recovery, not worshipping the no pain, no gain myth. You've learned how to build your routine from the ground up, understanding that everything revolves around one true failure set, structuring training days with intelligence, selecting only the exercises that truly stimulate growth, tracking progress week by week, adapting the system to your body, your life, and your recovery capacity. Now, you train like a conscious warrior. You don't seek exhaustion. You seek improvement. You don't mindlessly repeat. You progress with purpose. Your routine is no longer punishment. It's an instrument of evil. Every set is a message to your body. Every rest day is an investment in growth. And that mindset, bro, is what makes you a true heavy-duty practitioner. But this is just the beginning. Because in the next chapter, we're revealing a game-changing technique that can multiply your intensity without adding sets, exercises, or wasted effort. A technique Mike Mentzer used like a muscle surgeon to isolate and destroy every fiber with precision, brutality, and efficiency. We're talking about the legendary pre-exhaustion, the secret to squeezing every fiber. Heavy duties. Want to know how to pre-fatigue a muscle before a compound lift, so you push it to the limit without extra volume? Want to understand why this technique can transform your results if applied correctly? Don't miss chapter 4, because that's where you'll learn how Mentzer turned a simple workout into a surgical muscle-building experience. A session that torched fibers, challenged the mind, and built real muscle. See you in the next episode, and remember, don't train to feel tired. Train to become unstoppable, heavy duty, high intensity, maximum intelligence, guaranteed results.